Hey guys, so we are wrapping up our time unit this week. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to still practice telling time by looking at analog clocks, but this time we're going to be looking at time to the nearest hour and the nearest half hour. When something is near something, that means it's pretty close. Okay, so we're going to be looking at some clocks. We're going to skip a couple of these slides and we're going to look at the time. We're going to decide which time is it closest to, and then we'll do this together. So the way that this set is set up, it wants you to slap down a card or raise a card, but we're just going to talk about it together and it's going to be all right. So before we get started, I'm going to grab my big clock because I found it in my closet today. Isn't that great? And so I wanted to show you that before we jump in. So on a clock, we know the hour hand or the little hand points to the numbers and tells us the hour in. So 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock, things like that. And then the minute hand tells us what the minutes are, but it's not going to be like this is not 8:12. This would be 8 o'clock. And if you look closely, there's numbers around the clock that tells what the minutes are. So when the long minute hand points to one of these numbers, that's what the minutes are going to be. And then all the little ones in between tell you the minutes in between. So, for example, like this is 5 and 10. So this would tell you 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the clock on our screen, see, okay, what is that time is it closest to, and see if we can figure that out. Okay. So looking at this clock, I noticed the hour hand is on the 1. So I'm going to move my 1. Whoop. How about that? I'm gonna move my hour hand over there. Come on. There we go. And then this guy is almost about right there. Okay. So I gotta adjust it a little bit more. It's kind of tricky. All right. So here's what our clock looks like. So I noticed that it almost looks like 1 o'clock, but what it looks like is this minute hand is coming close to the 12, and then the hour hand's close to the 1. So this looks almost like 1 o'clock. So let's take a look at it. Which one is it? One. I'm going to move me over here. There we go. Sorry about that. So 1 o'clock. So the reason that we're practicing this is obviously we can tell time besides just to the hour and to the half hour. And so it does get kind of tricky because there's 60 minutes that you have to look at. So what we're doing today is saying, okay, if I'm looking at a time, what's the closest time to? What is it kind of around? So let's go ahead and do the next one. Here you go. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So I noticed right here my hour hands between the 1 and the 2. So I know it's going to be in the 1 o'clock hour. So then my minute hands over here on this close to the 7. So if my minute hands point to the 7, those minutes are going to be 35. Well, I know that the next hour would be 2 o'clock, and that's going to be when this hand goes way up here. But I know if my minute hand's on the 6, that's in half hour. So I think that this time looks close to 1:30 because there's a 1 o'clock here, and this is close to 6 to 1:30, which would be here. So let's see. Yeah, it'd be 1:30. So this is close to 1:30. That would be the nearest half hour to this time. Let's do another one. All right, so again, this hour hand's between the 2 and the 3s. I know that's the 2 o'clock hour. And then this minute hand is on the 5, which is close to 6, which is a half hour. So this looks like this is close to 2:30. Let's take a look. Yeah. And so the actual time on this clock would be 2:26 roughly. Because when the minute hand's on the 5, that's going to be 25 minutes. And then obviously one more would be 26. But the closest half hour would be 2:30. Now, again, probably like, Miss Harder, why are we doing this? Again, this just gives us practice looking at times besides just at the 30 and at o'clock. It gives us a chance to see what it's like when it's moving around the clock. Now, this particular clock doesn't have the little notches that are in between the hours, like my clock does. And so this is why I like to use clocks like these when you have little notches to help you figure out those minutes that aren't just 30 and a clock. And I was telling my face-to-face friends this the other day, telling time is a skill that just takes a lot of practice. So it might be really tricky right now, but the more we practice it, we'll get it. And so if you're feeling frustrated or you're like, I just don't understand how to tell time, I promise we'll figure it out. It just takes some time.